Hey up lads and lasses, Damphyre here, back again with some more Infinite Lagrange. Now this is the other recording I did with the auxiliary ships and the Corvette, and this goes into more detail, because I wasn't sure if I was allowed to release this at the same time or not, so I'll probably release this the day after or something. So, previews of the auxiliary ship, new Corvette, and space station defense gameplay updates. Dear explorers, live long and prosper. Apparently, the IL devs have turned into Trekkies. We are excited to introduce you new oncoming features of the game, the SV-830 Fast Combat Support Ship Blueprint and Gameplay Related, S-Levy 9 Heavy Torpedo Escort Corvette Blueprint and new strategic gameplay of Space Station Defense, which will be available online on the 22nd of June. Release of the SV-830 Fast Combat Support Ship Blueprint. The commencement bears our sheer longings into the deeper space, and I wonder how our descendants will see what we have done here today, centuries from now. I.e., a journalist present at christening ceremony of the commencement. Story file. The FSV-830 Fast Combat Support Ship is evolved from the blueprint of the Commencement, a mega supply transport, which is a great fruit of the Project Other Side by Dawn Accord organization. Thanks to great advances in applied physics and material synthesis in the new Golden Rush era, the large space mining and supply facilities of the Commencement were miniaturized and modified for military use by the organization, enabling it to make full use of all resources in the space, hence circulating materials completely and independently. The audio book of the story, the Lagrange Legacy Archives number 1004, the Commencement Supply Transport, will be available in-game. So, really cool looking ship. I said this in the other video. I love the design aesthetics of this. I do think it's slightly weird that I believe the bridge is up at the back here. To me, the bridge should be this spot here, but that's my personal opinion. It just kind of makes a bit more sense there. But yeah, really cool design ship. We can see we've got the frigates production facility, so it can produce frigates and corvettes, I believe. Integrated support platform. I'm guessing this is this is to do with the mining system and repair system that is on here. Warning and control might have some ability to shoot down torpedoes, missiles, and potentially aircraft. If this has potentially good AA, fleet-wide AA, this could be meta changing in the fleet designs themselves, which would be really good. But this is as it is already sort of shaking up the meta potentially as well anyway, because running these in your fleets to resupply frigates and stuff like that, you go really heavy on the frigate corvettes, which is kind of what we do anyway, but you'd have to try and find room for this. We can't see quite how much CP that is, but it kind of looks like there's a 4 there and a 0, so I kind of want to say 40. I could be very wrong on that. So this is the cost of a carrier at the end of the day, which is not cheap, and it's not easy to get into your fleet. However, there is some interesting info later on that I'll get into that sort of nullifies what I just said. So, production and self-holding. Self-holding is one of the main functions of auxiliary ships. Every auxiliary ship will be equipped with certain self-hold capacity, which will be taken up by self-held frigates. This is what I was saying. You could put 10 Reliots in here, and that's your 40 CP. There's your CP cost disappeared. Taken up by self-held frigates produced by fleets that contains auxiliary ships. Self-held frigates will not take up the capacity of base ports, but will be limited by that of the fleet. The FSV-830 Fast Combat Support Ship is installed with production system, which will cost resources and UE coins from the base. Therefore, the fleet that contains auxiliary ships are able to build frigates and and Earth aircraft, while the frigates are regarded as self-held ships of the auxiliary. So that is really interesting. I don't know how much free CP that technically costs. But basically, think of frigates as being this thing's aircraft. At the end of the day, you basically get frigates for free CP. Interesting concept, because this could potentially allow you to double up the amount of frigates you could have. So imagine if it does let you, say, build 10 frigates. You could have 10 frigates on this, 10 Xeno Special, add in 10 more Xeno Special. Now you got 20 Xeno Special, just, yeah. Like the ideas I've got for fleets in my head at the moment with this thing in them is absurd. I wonder how many we can produce of these as well. It doesn't quite say here, and you can't quite make that out at all. I can't expect it to be more than 2, to be honest. Even 1, I think, might be a push. Well, not a push, but I think 1 is where it's at, but I could be wrong. Self-holding ability enables fleets to temporarily self-supply in battle when having chances, providing more possibilities and strategy for the gameplay. So I'm guessing this means you can't, in battle, resupply and build fleets and fix fleets. And this is going to be very specific to when you're out of battle. You know, you're flying about but out of battle. Please be noted that as self-held ships depend on the command of auxiliary ships, they will not conduct emergency evasion themselves or relocate to the base port. Besides, each lineup can contain 1 auxiliary ship only due to its unique self-holding ability. So yeah, we can only have 1 of these per fleet. And they don't do emergency evasion, which means I'm pretty certain emergency evasion is moving them from the front line to second line. So it's potential that the frigates that you do want to build with this don't need that anyway. So Xenos, Reliats, anything mid-row and back row, because they can't emergency evade, and also they can't relocate to base port. So they are just going to die regardless. I've noticed my Xeno just die regardless anyway, so, you know, could be a good spot for them. Auxiliary ships can speed up self-held ship production and custom modules intended for auxiliary ship assembly line. We can see here in this picture something very interesting. There must be either a CV3K in this fleet with this, and you can see you can flat out just build assassins and stick them straight into the CV3K. So if you're losing Corvettes and fighters, actually I don't know if it can do fighters. We do know it can do Corvettes. So this could be very, very nastily paired with, say, solar whales and their absurd Corvette capacity. It's potentially where this ship sort of sits at as a better thing, as if you are running aircraft, it might not be able to do fighters. We'll see. Corvette assembly line of auxiliary ship. There's picture display. Yeah, there we go. This picture, basically. Supply. Fleet containing auxiliary ships can command supply on resource points, and fleets will be in supply status on arrival, transferring resources to custom modules intended for auxiliary ships at a certain speed. I'm not sure yet, because it says fleets, so it doesn't necessarily mean it's in this fleet, but potentially you could have miners in separate fleets, and they will supply to the auxiliary ships, so it acts like a forward operation base for resource mining, which is pretty interesting and quite a cool concept in my opinion. In supply status, the auxiliary ship is able to repair damaged ships in the fleet at the cost of UE coins. So this is kind of like taking repair modules with your fleet with you, but you don't have to take the repair modules. This ship will do it. It doesn't say that it's limited on repair either, so it can repair, you know, cruisers, battle cruisers, you know, whatever you want. Aircrafts, the FSV 830 Fast Combat Support Ship is able to assist with carried, medium fighters and corvettes. I'm guessing that means it can build medium fighters, potentially, but maybe not large fighters, which is interesting. So if you are running Vetus Bs and stuff, you are going to have to be pulling your CV3Ks back after they're lost to resupply them and get them back into the fight. Battle commands. The command system of the FSV, Fast Combat Support Ship, is able to provide information assistance on specified ships on our side. Not sure what that is. Maybe some kind of support system that gives bonus hit rate or something like that, kind of like the spotting UAVs. Stages of blueprint release. Now this is the one that everyone's going to be more interested in. How the hell do you get it? It's going to release very similar to the Marshall Crux in basically every way. So the blueprint of the support ship will be released in the hub star system and corresponding system of the node recovery agreement, Trojite crystal collection, and data rescue agreement. I kind of wish that they didn't include the node recovery agreement there, because that is the most popular one, even for, you know, players that have been playing 5 or 6 servers. I feel that it should have been limited to Trojite, and even then, I think it should have been limited to maybe even data rescue, just to try and get people into those a bit more. Because, I mean, yes, I hate data rescue agreement, but if this is the only way to get that ship, I have to have played a data rescue. Yeah, it kind of makes sense that way. So, from 7 AM on the 22nd of the 6th, later this month, the support ship will be added to the tech file selected by enterprises. That's the boxes in the rewards section, you know, where you get your rewards for completing servers. There's boxes in there, so you can get it in there. Tech files selected by enterprise will be available, at the trade center for a limited time, and your first purchase enjoys a 50%. Why trade centers? Why would they do that? Regardless, in relevant star systems, the original generic files will be replaced by generic files, Tech Files 2.0, and the CVT-800 Pulsar Corvette blueprint will be added. Oh, interesting. So they're adding the T-800 to the generic Tech Files now. That's cool. So yeah, more chances of T-800. I know a few people are missing them, and it's noticeable when they're missing them, because they complain a lot, going that swarms are horrible because they don't have T-800s to kill them off, which, you know, it's completely reasonable. T-800s are absurd for the cost and the amount that you can produce. So yeah. Explorers can purchase the FSV 830TE Fast Combat Support Ship of different trial versions at Trading Post. This is also available at 7 AM on the 22nd, up to the 13th of the 7th. So you got a good bit of time to pick these up. Same as the Marshall Crux. Be wary if there are ones that cost Proxima. Do not buy those ones. They are not permanent. They will be temporary. I'm guessing. Maybe they've changed it now and there won't be any Proxima-based ones. So I might not need to do that warning, but if it was like the Marshall Crux, there's the warning. If you make the mistake and you watch this video, don't come complaining to me. Docking effects at some docking points will be changed permanently in relevant star systems, and you will obtain temporary authorizations of the FSV 830TE Fast. From now on, I'm just going to refer it to the FSV. Ship one stock so that each explorer will get a chance to test its function in battle. Manufacturer official authorization. Tech authorization will happen on the 29th/06, which will be added to the research agreement, so you can start trying to ping it in the research agreement. This is potentially your best way of getting it. Potentially, because there's going to be other ships in that, whatever you try and do there. I have saved up some research agreement points, and I've not used research agreement much this server in lieu of this coming out. So, encrypted authorized circularization is going to be added to the generic tech files 2.0, so it's not going to get added to the black market tech files, which is interesting. So I wonder what the percentage chance of picking this up with the generic tech files are going to be, because they're generally not great. I've had a bit of luck recently. I picked up a Xeno, which I already had, and I picked up I think the Nebula Chaser or something like that from the generic tech. It was a Corvette, I can't remember exactly what it was, and that was in like day after the day. So I don't know, because generally the generic tech files aren't particularly great for grabbing anything in, really. We also have the release of the S-Levy 9 Heavy Torpedo Corvette. Yeah, we'll skip through and we'll just go to the details on this one, shall we? Pretty much exactly the same as release times and release stuff as the FSV. So that's interesting and cool. And yeah, it's got 3 changed on some way heavy torpedoes from the Heavy Torpedo Callisto variant. So that's the big giant torpedoes of doom, Callisto B variant, which is, you know, potentially still the best cruiser in the game and potentially the only really reliable one. So this is definitely power creep, because I am 100% guaranteeing this thing hits like a truck, and it'll hit harder than the Cellular Defender, which is also torpedoes. However, again, there are only like 4 Corvettes that people use: the T-800, the Cellular Defender, the Void Elfin, and the Nebula Pulse. So this just takes up one of those lower 2. I still think you keep the Cell Defenders in there. You drop probably the Void Elfins, or you could drop the Nebula Pulses, although they are pretty good nowadays. And then onto the Space Station Defense strategic gameplay. In the Lagrange network, those who own the space station also control the traffic routes around and take strategic advantage. Conflicts and gambles among different forces are frequent, provoked for the attribution of the space station. To provide you with the various strategic battle experiences around the space station, we here bring you the latest updates as below. Defense Stronghold as a critical part of the space station can be set as an attack target of fleets after the update. The structure damages suffered by the Defense Stronghold will be regarded as damages suffered by the space station. For attacker, it will be a key point how attackers dispatch fleets between space station and defense strongholds. As for defenders, to coordinate and command defense fleets flexibly at space station to cope with changing offensive tactics based on their own preferences and intelligence will be of great importance. Difficult to try and work out what they're trying to say here. Read through a bit and see if I can make heads or tails of it. 1. Cautious strategic defense. A Terran Sphere's old saying goes that caution is the parent of safety. Sure. Some forces tend to choose conservative defensive strategy in the presence of stronger fleets, even if it's the siege fleets of outstanding firepower that pass by the space station. They won't take initiative to block or attack. Once the defense stronghold or space station get attacked, they will rally to counterattack based on buildings. It's noted that abiding by conservative and cautious battle strategy to cope with possible attacks suffered by defense strongholds, they will suppress the enemy quickly according to the size of fleets, so as to protect them in the safest way. So it kind of looks, with this picture as well, that we can now possibly attack the strongholds individually before going for cities. It's a possibility. Look, these are attack patterns, right? Attacking into a stronghold, and you've got the other 2 strongholds reinforcing this stronghold. So yeah, that's sort of how this is working. Rational strategic defense. We have no info on rational strategic defense. Cautious, rational. Devs, if you're watching, you missed a bit. We've got aggressive, we've got cautious, but not anything for rational. Example of rational strategic defense. Yeah, okay. I'm guessing that does have something to do with these reinforcing after the attack order was given. This was I don't know what this one really sort of shows off. Attacking could be the best defense, as the aggressive strategic defense is upheld by some forces in the system. They will send alarms immediately. They find suspected fleets docked near the station, no matter whether they respond or not. It will be the first choice to announce battle initially in face of potential threats. They tend to turn out in full strength, dispatching all fleets to block them, with operations ensuring that they and the station won't be endangered by any fleet. So, as you know, this one's quite nasty. I'm sure some players have felt the wrath of a station when they've been sat around an enemy station and then a neutral's come in to poke the station to force out all of the stronghold fleets, which now blockade, pulling your not quite ready yet fleets into them and blowing them all up. Basically the same thing, except it looks like certain stations will just have this capability at the start. If you park too many fleets around them, they're just going to blow you up. Which to me makes perfect sense. Hit them while you're still outnumbering them, even if it is AI. Makes sense to me. New updates are demonstrated as below. We have dedicated to enriching the lore and stories of Lagrange Network, bringing about more novel gameplay and experience for all explorers. We are grateful for your support and love for Infinite Lagrange. Really cool. I actually quite like these. How these are going to function, because that just adds like completely different strategies to 3 different cities. So yeah, that's going to be kind of cool. And the fact that defensive strongholds are now potentially attackable, also really cool. So the FSV sounds pretty nuts and potentially very, very powerful and meta defining. The S-Levy, again, heavy torpedo Callisto torps is crazy on the carrier, and now we're getting a Corvette and it has 3 of them. Yeah, that's going to be busted, absolutely. And some cool little changes in lore. Whether if you own the station, you can select which strategic defense they take, that would be really interesting, because you could just play around with that a little bit, put it on a cooldown like 24 hours, so you can't just, wait for people to get around and go, oh, I'm going aggressive now, or wait for people to go around the stronghold, oh, I'm going rational now, or whatever. So, really cool, and again, a little bit of flavour to the cities, making them a little bit more individual and stuff like that is definitely not a bad thing to do. And it does add to the lore a little bit. If they're, aggressive or neutral or whereas rational or cautious. So yeah. No cat in this video, but thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Definitely let me know what you think about the FSV down below. Do you think it's going to be game-breaking? Do you think it's gimmicky? There is a potential that it is just a bit gimmicky, but having self-held frigates and stuff, it's pretty good. So, have a good one, guys, and I'll catch you next time.